In a studio that's in a basement comes the epic story of how two friends changed the future of the movie podcast game forever. The reviews are in. Boys Life magazine gives the High Sci podcast 4.5 acorns. The Daily Bugle says, these guys are super legit. And Pope Francis declares the podcast as life-affirming. From the kid who tried to get smart with David Spade and got fucking old.
You're still out. You're still bad.
And the guy who can name all four Baldwin brothers.
Alec, William, Daniel, and the baby boy, Stephen.
Live from the studio of his parents' basement. The Have You Seen It podcast.
Well, how's it going, Mace?
You know what, Cash? It's going.
It is going.
A little irritated.
It is. We had a bit of a hiccup in the last podcast.
Shazam, yeah, and I'm going to check this real quick.
Yes, go ahead, double check and make sure that we're running smoothly.
I want it to follow so I can keep tabs on it.
Yes.
At all times, because I'm across the room from the computer. God, that makes me so mad. Every so often we have a technical difficulty on this podcast. We lost 26 minutes, and now I'm going to have to dub it over with the crap audio from the iPad.
It's pretty good, though, how many podcasts we do, and
it is
usually how little hiccups we have.
Yeah, because we've only had, 3 now, and we're 133 episodes in.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
We had the other ones were the
Punisher.
The blackouts we were having.
Yeah.
The rolling blackouts.
I know. That typically happens in the summertime because everyone in this house.
That was during the summertime, though, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, runs AC unit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's a
everyone's got their own AC in this house.
So it blows the power occasionally when you have, 2 million watts going through one outlet.
Oh, that'll happen. But Mason, let me ask you a hypothetical.
No, okay.
Let's just say, God forbid, one of your beautiful pets, one of the many pets you have running around here, passes on to the next realm. Would you, if you, let's just say, hypothetically, you had a magical pet cemetery that was on your property, would you bring your pet back?
I think the better question is, would I open a small business in reviving old pets for people?
Okay, what if your pet sucked when it came back? Like, bad.
I wouldn't disclose that in the brochure I hand to people. Got a dead pet? Let me take care of it. I could bring
I didn't
it back.
ask. I asked if you're bringing your own
My
pet
own
back.
pet. How about 10 times out of 10? No. Okay.
10 out of 10. 100%. There's no leeway there.
There's no way I bring a pet back. Never.
Even if you didn't know that it was going to come back crazy. You just knew that you got some magical dirt out there that you bring back, but
here's the thing.
They
on a serious note, yeah, okay, yes.
They don't look great coming back.
If I did not know.
Oh, you're saying, you're playing with those.
If I did
those
not
magical
know,
powers.
Yeah, if I did not know, then yes, absolutely. But
you're gambling with it,
If I did know, and my dog did show up, and he was a little bastard, I got a little friend called the Springfield XD9.
Oh, so you wouldn't have a problem.
So I would have not a problem putting that dog down.
So you'd be so emotionally distraught that you would break whatever that plane of existence that we have, and you would bring this dog back. But once he starts acting up, you have no problem shooting.
I have no issues with
no
it
hesitation
whatsoever.
at all.
It's like,
wow. It's an odd mentality to where, are you sad after you have to shoot it, or is this a job to you at this point?
It's a job at this point. It's a zombie dog. I thought I was going to get my dog back, but it was a zombie dog. No, thank you.
Are you rolling the dice again, putting that dog back in there? Maybe it's just a one-time thing.
I would consider it.
I would at least try 10 times before you give a determination of whether these dogs are coming back evil or not.
That is true. Because if you bring back a dog twice,
it's going to look fucked up after about 5 shots to the head.
Yeah, I would
it's
say
gonna
so.
Start to be noticeably a dog.
The jaws off to the side.
But you gotta find out. It's still your dog, though, right?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's
At the
still
end of
Old
the dog,
Yeller.
it's-
You
it's still
know?
good. But
Just
yeah.
Old Yeller freaking revitalized a few times.
Well, Mason, we don't usually talk about resurrection of pets on this podcast. It's
Not
not
normally.
a big.
It's
It's
not-
not
it's
a
not the
big.
thing we
Although
normally
I
jump
do like
into.
to bring it up every once in a while, just to see where you're at.
Keep the podcast fresh.
Yeah.
You never know.
But why are we talking about pets being resurrected? Why would anyone be talking about that?
Because we are talking about a book to film adaptation by Stephen King.
No,
One of my favorite
a book
books.
to film
to film. Yeah, a
adaptation.
book to film adaptation, which is one of my favorite Stephen King novels of all time.
Yeah, it's probably, I'm not sure, it might be the first Stephen King book I ever read.
Really?
But it's one of his most famous by far, and
It's
it's
great.
one of the scariest to today. It still definitely haunts me.
And what it does too is it gives you that impossible choice. That's what this movie does so well, or the book did so
That
well.
is what-
it gives you an impossible choice where it's like,
That is what the book did, and that really
Man.
plays on that fear of what would you do, and now your kid's back, but your kid sucks.
and it's like a zombie.
Yeah,
not a
and,
good
and it does this thing where you got to
evil.
make another choice, and it's also this whole thing of kind of let it be,
Mhm.
It's kind of the universe's way of once they're going, even if you live on probably the most dangerous stretch of highway
to
in
ever
this
live on.
continental USA.
And you don't watch your children at all.
You got to call your city planner or something. You
got
got to have
to.
something. You got to rework that highway.
Put some sort of fencing out there. Even
There's got to be.
there was no fencing.
This thing is the fucking Widowmaker. It's taking lives left and right.
Left and right.
You can't
Those
even own a
semis
pet.
coming down at 70, 80 miles an hour.
I've never seen the recklessness. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it's the craziest road of all time. We get the very start, and we ride the very start, and we get that there's like an oil something. There's always oil trucks going back and forth.
Yeah, they
right?
go back and forth all the time down that road, going
topping
in the book-
90 miles an
Right.
hour. Yeah.
And that's one thing the book does well that the movie didn't really have time to, other than to nod at it. But they talked about the trucks for a long time in the book about how they would go way too fast, and there was another accident in the book beforehand. There was a lot of stuff in the book when it came, and I get it, it's a movie, you got to shorten it up, but
that is one of the things that I think that we should talk about is, should this book be ever turned into a movie? Is it possible? Because in the book you get so much more detail, and it's in such a longer span of time where you really get the development of the family and him dealing with the death and everything like that. Where in the movie it's really sped up.
Well, and that's the thing too. What really, okay, my main thing that really sucked about this movie for me is Judd is such a lovable character in the book, which is the old man.
Judd is a very lovable character in the old movie too.
Right.
Yeah.
But Judd also had a wife in the book that was not brought up at all, and
Yes.
that's a huge plot point in the book. I get why they took it out. They don't have enough time. But I felt no personal connection to Judd in this movie whatsoever, as far as like just a crazy old white.
Oh, my biggest,
you know what I mean?
My biggest complaint of the whole thing is I felt no personal connection to any of the characters in the story.
Very true.
At all. I did not. We'll get into it, but when the little girl passed away, I did not feel real sadness come over me. I did not, because it didn't.
Another thing that frustrated me
I don't
too.
think they did a great job with the chemistry. The best chemistry I thought was the husband and the wife.
Mhm.
Or I thought they had good chemistry, but I guess we can get into that. Yeah, that kind of frustrated me. Yeah, but they changed a lot of things. Where I keep going back because I have seen the older movie a few times because it was always played on TV. I think it was almost maybe a TV movie, but they cut Judd's wife out completely also. Where in this 2019 version, they mention her slightly, but in that old version that came out in 89, I think, they don't mention her at all. He never had a wife.
And it sucks too, because again, in the book, you really get an understanding of why Judd brought him up to the Pet Semetary.
It's the whole turning. It's the whole
It
reason
is.
to why. Yeah.
Yeah.
And any other reason, I think, besides that reason seems odd to me.
Odd, yeah.
Seems unrealistic to me even. Yeah, I agree. In this version and an old version. So in this version, he brings him up just because of the cat.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah,
And
just because he's like, oh, well, I just thought it was the right thing to do. Which,
yeah.
again, I know how the book is compared to the movie, but it's frustrating because I'm just like, what? we got to have more here. We got to have more context because just bringing a cat back.
Let's talk about it.
Feel bad.
In the book, the whole reason is because in the book, Judd's wife has, is it arthritis? I think it's arthritis.
She has like crippling arthritis, and then she also has heart problems as well.
But in the span of the book, because the book spans an entire year, it goes through all the seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in this movie, it spans a couple weeks,
if that.
It's really sped up. Where even in the older movie, it's shown like they kind of give hints of taking down decorations, putting up Christmas ones and stuff. This one, it's really sped up, really kind of rushed.
One thing that I did really like that they kept pretty close to the book and they gave nods to the book was the Rachel and her sister with the bone disease.
Yeah.
They did a good job with that. And remember in the book constantly, Oz, the great and terrible.
Yeah.
You know how they always would say it in the book, terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But over and over and over again, they gave a nod in the very beginning of the movie to that. And then later on with Rachel, I liked all those scenes because that is how I imagined the sick girl in the book. Just as very, very decrepit, just
that is
monster,
arguably
falling through that elevator shaft.
And that's arguably the scariest part of this entire movie.
Definitely.
I thought, yeah, we really jumped into it. Let me give you the synopsis of it first.
Okay.
After relocating with the wife Rachel and their 2 young children from Boston to rural Maine, Dr. Lewis Creed discovers a mysterious burial ground hidden deep in the woods near the family's new home. When tragedy strikes, Lewis turns to the unusual neighbor, Judd Crandall, setting off a perilous chain reaction that unleashes an unfathomable evil with horrific consequences. Directed by 2 guys, Kevin Kolsch and Dennis Widmer, and I don't know if they've ever directed anything else. I couldn't find anything else on them. But it stars Jason Clarke as Lewis Creed, Amy Seimetz as Rachel Creed, and the very good John Lithgow as Judd Crandall, which Judd is a huge part, especially he's a huge part in the book.
Very big
because
part.
He introduces everything. Everything, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's lived on the land and in the book, a big difference is he lives across the street.
And Lewis and Judd are really good friends, and we get he goes over to Judd's house quite often to have a beer with him and to talk about
that's
these
the thing that they
different
missed out
things.
is Judd becomes a father character in the book
Mm-hmm.
to Lewis.
And
even in the older movie, their relationship is a lot closer. Where in this one, they completely cut that out.
There was no relationship between them at all.
And I saw the reason someone asked the director why they decided to do that, and he said, well, you just had to kind of choose the relationships that you had to, the one that you chose to show people. So apparently there wasn't enough time where he had to show the relationship between the family rather than another relationship. But the family relationship wasn't good to me.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
I would have much rather spent time less with the family and more with Lewis and Judd.
Yeah.
Getting to know all these things and then doing 1 or 2 scenes with the family to get that chemistry.
Yeah.
Rather than do it all with the family. We already know they're a family. They love each other, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It's a parent. It's a family, right? So let's move on to the Judd story with the Pet Semetary and the reasons why this evil, weird burial ground. It was very lackluster.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your thoughts on it? What was your coming out of it? What did you think from seeing it?
Honestly, man, again, I hate to be that guy.
Yeah,
I hate to be that guy.
Just
where
your
it's
initial
like,
thoughts.
Oh, the book was so much better than the movie. Shut the fuck up. No one wants to hear that, okay? No one wants to sit down and read, so shut up. But in this scenario, like, I just feel like this is not a good book to movie adaptation, in my opinion, overall. I think they did a lot of things. They did a lot of good things where they nod to the book. And I thought one thing with Gage and Ellie, one thing I liked a lot is obviously in the book, Gage is the one who dies. But I like how they did it in the scene where Ellie's out chasing Church, the cat.
I would have loved how they did it if they didn't give that entire thing away that Gage is not the one to die and Ellie is instead.
Exactly.
There was
they gave
no
it away
weight
in the preview
at
or in
all.
the trailers.
Yeah, they gave away so much, and I talk about it all the time. But that was a moment where I felt like, because the whole thing was built up. Because obviously the kid that runs out in the book in the old movie, the Gage always is the one that
is the one that dies.
Yeah, it's not Ellie.
Nope.
But in this one, it's a big twist or whatever. But that was like the main that they gave that away in the first trailer.
They did.
That was the main thing that
Because
they were
Judd's walking down the stairs and she stabs him in the leg.
Yeah.
Well, in the Achilles.
Yeah, in the Achilles. Yeah.
Brutal scene.
But I thought almost that they CGI'd this fucking kid to look like the original kid from the other movie.
You think so?
I mean, they didn't do it, but that kid, look, that's the new kid.
No, I know.
That's the original.
I know.
They
Very
look
close. Very
so-
similar.
I thought maybe they got the original kid's son to be in it or something. They look so much.
That would have been cool.
It's crazy to me. I couldn't really get past that. But yeah. The kid in the original is probably the best part of the entire movie. He's a 2-year-old, and he does an amazing acting job.
He does?
He's 2. He plays a little murderous son of a bitch, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I just want to show you the new versus the... I thought they looked so
Wow,
much
they look
alike.
identical almost.
It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over it. There's no one else talking about that, but yeah. Yeah, like they cut out things of the book that I thought are kind of the main point of the entire book. If you're going to cut out some things, then cut out things that aren't part of the story, right?
Exactly.
Or
Don't
they
cut
changed-
out the story.
They changed the reasoning of how Judd got him up there because in the original, because Lewis is a doctor, that story is the same. They come from Boston, or in the book they come from Chicago, and they're moving to Maine. In this 2009, they moved from Boston to Maine. But yeah. So Judd's wife has arthritis, and she has a heart attack while Lewis is over there, right?
In the book.
And
Yes.
Lewis saves her.
Mhm.
And Judd says to me, he's like, "Oh, you did this for me. Now I got to do something for you." Right?
Exactly.
And
And
that's
was
the
the
whole
pivotal
turning point.
Exactly.
But in this movie, we get the scene where Judd's like, I loved Ellie with. I mean, I like Ellie like a granddaughter, but we don't get any build up to them liking each other.
No, at all.
And every scene that Ellie and Judd share at the very start, it always feels like Judd might hit her. Because
Yeah.
every season, what are you doing in here? Or, get off
Uh-huh.
that. It always seems like he's going to be a dick. But we never got enough time spent to where you could see they were supposed to be kind of like a granddaughter, grandpa kind of thing. But we never got enough time spent to where that connection happens.
And you know what this movie felt like? Again, it felt like it was just they were trying to just get to point A to point B too fast.
It felt rushed. The whole thing felt rushed.
Right.
There was no breathing room.
No, it should have been Pet Semetary. If someone were to take this book to film adaptation, this needs to be a 2-hour slow burn movie.
It needs to be
A slow burn.
a miniseries.
Is what it
It
should
needs to
be.
be because I do not think I just don't think there's a way to adapt it. I mean, so far I'm sure there is a way because there's books that people have adapted that say can never be adapted. Adapting The Shining was supposed to be very hard, but Stanley Kubrick, and he left a lot of that book, and it was still an amazing movie.
Mhm.
So there is a way to do it, but I just don't know if this was the way with cutting. With like you said, it did feel super rushed to where we had to get to point A to point B
Exactly.
to get to the very end when she actually dies. But yeah. So the family moves from Boston to a little town because he's spending too much time at the ER and it's too much pressure. And he's got a new job at the clinic. They move into a creepy house. First day at the clinic.
Of course, and this is in the book too.
Yes. Well, this because what's his name? Victor
Pascal.
So his first day on the job, Mr. Pascal comes in. He's not looking too good.
No.
He had been in an accident. I'm guessing on that goddamn road.
And I thought exactly. And I thought the makeup was really good. When the one scene
I
when
agree,
she's
I
like,
agree
we
as
can
well.
see his brain, and then it was
Yes.
pulsing. The brain was kind of like pulsing or
Well, that's a
whatever
big-
off to the side.
We keep talking about it, but it's hard not to talk about it with adaptation. But that's a big part in the book.
Very
Victor
big.
Pascal does play a big part.
Mhm.
Where,
And it really wouldn't have made any sense if they would have took him out. 'Cause
yeah.
he's basically the prophecy guy.
In this movie, though, he plays an even bigger part.
Yeah.
They even added him more, and they added more of the horror element to his part, I think.
Yeah, which
Especially 'cause-
I think dude, I really think they just missed the whole meaning.
Yeah,
Behind-
yes, so do
They're
I.
like,
Yeah.
oh, these are horror moments. It's like, no, the horror moments is the fact that you have an impossible choice, and now you raise your daughter from the dead. Now or son in the book.
Exactly.
And now you're left with this impossible choice of what do I do?
No, they went with the very generic
horror.
A lot of jump scares.
Yep.
There was a lot of jump scares in it, and not very many good scares.
That's what I was going to say as well. Not very good.
Not a very scary movie.
I didn't jump very much at all.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I jump just because it's a reaction to jump. But I mean, that does not determine a good scary movie to me. But yeah, there's a lot of that. But he talks to Victor, and Victor plays a big part because he warns him of the Pet Semetary. And at some point, he even takes him into the Pet Semetary, right? Dreamlike.
Dreamways, yes.
Yeah.
So he's walking through, and that's, yeah. And then his feet are dirty the next morning.
Yeah, like he's actually was really walking there and whatnot. But Victor...
Which I think
go ahead.
My interpretation of that is that it actually is a sleepwalking dream. I think he actually does go
Oh, yeah,
there.
I believe also. Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's one positive about the movie, I want to say, too, was I really like the way they did that dream sequence where he stands up out of bed and he walks to the closet and then it's in the forest.
Yeah, I like that too.
I like how they did that. I thought it looked really good.
Well, the best part of the best part of any of these movies is when they're actually in the Pet Semetary. Yeah. I think is when they get to because they do they did a good job in this movie, and they do a really good job of adapting what it feels like and looks like, and how Stephen King describes it in his book. Because with all this misspellings and everything, because it's all ran by children.
Exactly,
it's a children ran operation. Even with the misspelling of the cemetery, they spelled with an
C.
S. With an S. The
S. Yeah, S.
The real version.
The real version spelled with a C, right? Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I like that part of it too. But yeah, that wasn't even really a horror part. It was more of a fantasy element.
The whole beast in the wilderness that howls. They did that pretty close to the
Winnebago. Yeah, that guy. That is mentioned in the book. They don't mention the Indian tribe at all in this new movie.
Oh, in the movie, no. But in the book, yeah, they do.
In the book and in the older movie, yeah, that's a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that's because of PC kind of stuff. It's not...
Probably. It's not politically correct to say.
I know Stephen King did have a lot, because a lot of his books are... The background is, Indian
Native
tribes.
American.
But I know he did have some struggle with that. But, yeah, they never...
Well, you'll get trouble for everything. And not only that, but he wrote it in the 70s and 80s before we were
80s.
Enlightened. So,
yeah,
it is what it is.
Well,
man.
even back then, they also used to talk about how, because a lot of his books, because in his books they always give the fantasy element that all these Native American tribes are these ancient tribes that are long gone now, but really there's a lot of Native Americans still left in there. I mean, it's a thriving community.
Yeah.
So but yeah, so so Victor Pascal, and he warns him not to break the barrier.
The barrier.
Right, and he
kind of a giant wooden heap.
Yeah, it's a literal barrier, and it's a metaphysical barrier, right? Where it's a barrier between the living and the dead. Because past that deadfall is what they call it. Is like it's a land in between, really, isn't it?
Correct.
And it's a crazy land. Let me tell you, has no one ever flown a helicopter over this place?
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, it's not like they're going there and it's like the boneyard from Lion King. The elephant boneyard where it's always thundering. Has no one seen this from the sky?
Yeah, and wasn't there the scene too where he's walking on bones in the water?
Yeah, that was a good scene. I like that. Where they didn't know they were walking on bones because the water was so murky, which... Water itself is just scary. Just in general, you don't know what's going on down there.
You don't know.
Now that they got
That's why I always wear aqua socks into anywhere.
It's a good call.
Those dorky ass shoes.
It's a good call, yeah. But yeah. So they get there. Well, eventually, Church dies, and
He gets hit by the truck on Halloween.
In this movie, 2/3 of the movie is just dealing with the church death. I felt like of the entire family, right? Mm-hmm. It's so much part of this movie where until the last half an hour, the kid's not dead yet. Right? It's still, so Church gets hit by a car. Obviously, they go bury him. In this version, Judd takes him all the way up to the Pet Semetary to bury his fucking cat. Just because he had a good relationship, even though he knew that because he's had a dog that he brought back. And in the book, it goes a lot more into detail when he brought his dog back than it does in this, where he just kind of talks about.
Another thing they left out from the book, and I know because of the racist connotations behind it, I understand that. But do you remember the boy that died 50, 60 years ago in the book?
Yeah.
During the Civil War era, he was the African-American kid.
Oh, yeah.
He got brought in the book, and then he got brought back. And remember, he like burned down the.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
They kind of to me that part was kind of glazed over. Remember when he's going in like the computer, he's looking up like all these things
in the
that
news.
brought back. Yeah. That to me was kind of that.
I just wish we would have.
Oh yeah, I mean
something
that's
more. I mean without
that's a lot because that's a lot scarier too.
Like
yeah,
that, but,
exactly.
You know.
Yeah, but that's a lot scarier to me also. That scene is good. Yeah, but yeah, they completely
even just
left that out.
one scene of a flashback where it's, him resurrected and like acting crazy.
Yeah.
Just something.
Or even Judd warning him and telling him about that kid or something like that.
Right.
And then it going into a flashback of the kid coming back.
Would have worked out better for me.
But. Yeah, but he just tells him that his dog came back and his dog was kind of mean. But his dog was mean in the first place, so he just thought...
thought it was normal.
Again, we keep talking, but in the book, the animals are described in a much kind of different way where they're very, like, they're sluggish. Stephen King describes it as, like, because remember he's describing Church in the book, he's like, he's stumbling over himself. They're very mean, but they're not even, they don't even kind of know where they're at or whatever.
No,
they're kind of stumbling around.
It's like they're in a haze.
Yeah, in this one, they're just fucking very, very mean. But, I got to give it to the cat in this movie, man. He stole the show.
Did a good job. The trainers did a really good job with the cats.
My God, that cat was good. Man, he could act.
And it was actually 3 cats.
That's what I heard. Yeah, 3 different cats. And I heard they were total divas on the set.
Oh, I bet.
They always got to take care of
those.
Asking
for trailers, extra kitty litter. Doing lines in the trailer.
I'm sure they had some kitty litter problems, as most actors do.
They
go
do.
through that.
They go through that phase.
I can't wait to watch the rehab of these cats and hear their Robert Downey Jr. bounce back story.
Yep. It'll happen.
But yeah, the cat was really good. Church was really good in this. So Church dies and they send him back up, or tell me that's been recorded.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, but yeah, then him and Judd go up to fix the cat because Ellie's really hurt about the cat, and we also get that the mom does not, and this one the mom sticks around. So in the original, in the book, they leave and he resurrects the cat by himself, and no one knows that the cat even got hit by the car in the book. In this one, the mom knows, so it gives a really weird scene when they're explaining the cat to the girl.
That's another thing too.
Yeah.
That's another thing was that, but also with Rachel going back home, there's that big plot point too where her father hates why can't Lewis? Jesus.
Oh yeah.
Hates Lewis, and they get in this big altercation.
In this one, it just seems like he's just kind of cold shouldering him all the time. He never talks to him, but it looks like he's just kind of getting a stink eye. And the parents in this, her parents, I never got why they were leaving her with the girl who should be, I think, nursed 24 hours a day. Why are you leaving this 8-year-old girl to take care of this?
Exactly.
And the parents are rich too. When they go back to her house in this one, they're living in the fucking White House.
Exactly. It's huge, man.
I know. But yeah, so in this one she knows, Lewis tells her that the cat dies and she freaks out because she doesn't like death because she thinks she killed her sister.
Which she did.
But again, she should not have been left with.
No,
and how the fuck how did
asshole.
she get to the bed to the dumbwaiter?
She drags herself over.
She scurried fast, though. In this movie,
she was
like
hungry.
Pittering back.
I know.
You just hear her sprinting across like a mouse. Yeah. She really gets in that thing quick.
Yeah.
No wonder they're not. She loves dumbwaiters. She's got to hop in.
Could you imagine the guilt, though, of doing that? Of knowing you're not supposed to use that elevator and then using it and your sister falls through and you see her dead body all mangled up?
It would fuck you up. Yeah. I mean, obviously. But, yeah. The sister hated her.
She did hate her.
The sister hated her.
She hated her just for being her.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Out of all... Yeah. I don't really. I mean, why not
you're
hate
that
your why not hate your
miserable all the
mom?
time-
Why not hate your
Yeah,
mom?
that's
If
true.
your mom's not even spending time with you. She's making
Yeah,
your
she's going
sister's
out
the only one.
dinner plans while your sister
Your sister's
stays.
literally the only one taking care of you, and you fucking hate her. She's the only one that giving you any kind of, I don't know. It was weird to me, but yeah. So we glaze through that, but the sister dies. It's funny to me for some reason, but it's very fucked up. But I just don't get climbing into the dumbwaiter. I don't understand.
I think she went to go reach in.
No, because the food wasn't up there. She went to the top of the dumbwaiter. So the food wasn't up, because if it was up above, she would have just fallen in.
She fell
so
in.
the food was, so she saw that thing open up, and she, like an animal, ran to
Oh
it.
no! And she just fell through.
Well, she's just sitting on the top of the dumbwaiter. So the dumbwaiter's like an elevator, and that fell down a little bit, so she couldn't get back up. Because remember, there's a point where she's like waiting, then she falls down. Her bones are brittle, very brittle
So
bones.
she's a pretzel when she
Yeah.
hits.
So the thought of her just hearing that thing and immediately having to run and dive into it, it's comical to me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it
Like,
is.
what's she doing? Why's she messing around with that? I mean, and it sounds like it's to the point where like that happens so often that they had to
Yes.
make a rule where she's not allowed to use a dumbwaiter because she's always hopping in that thing. Anyways, a very scary scene, very serious scene. She drops down.
Very serious.
And she's really folded like a pretzel up there.
Yeah.
And that's why Rachel, right, does not like death.
No, she hates
Because she
death.
thinks she killed her sister.
Oh my god, dude! In the book too, she got so annoying about that.
I
I was
know.
like, dude, shut up.
She
'Cause there was,
kind of
like,
did in
40
this, too.
pages.
She kind of did in this,
Yeah, in this,
too.
but not nearly as bad as the book. Because there were like 40 pages dedicated to the fact that she hated death. She freaked
Yeah.
out about everything. I'm like, oh man, this mother.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
killing me.
So, yeah, but he doesn't tell Rachel that he brought Church back.
No, he doesn't.
And they have to go tell Ellie. Well,
She
he doesn't even believe that Church came back yet.
No, and yeah.
And it comes into a kind of comical scene where, but I didn't think it worked well in a relatively serious movie. But she's like, no, Church is not. Church is right there. Because she doesn't know. And it's a fast return when you're.
It is very fast.
It's
12
like,
hours at most.
oh, yeah. It's Amazon, like in the future. I mean, you're getting your return on that dead person quick.
2-day prime
That's good.
shipping.
You think you'd have to wait a little bit for the magic to
would
kick in,
think.
but you touch that dirt, you're up. You're
Within
up
an
ready to
hour.
go. Yeah.
Within an hour. It's a 60-second sauna.
And I gotta tell you, when he's burying people, he buries them
very shallow.
very
Very shallow.
I think her nose was sticking out when he buried her in the girl.
Doesn't even
He's
give her
a
a
not
proper
wasting.
burial.
He's
No.
not wasting time burying anything.
He definitely
deeper.
wants them to have the.
It's the thinnest layer of just dust on top of the
It's miserable.
corpse. Yeah.
Gosh.
But I guess it makes it easier to come back that way. You have to dig yourself out.
That's the point. That right there is you're not in a box. You're not 6 feet under.
Yeah.
You just basically lean up.
I
And
don't
you're
think
good.
you're having a problem though. Even if you're a dead zombie, you're gonna climb out of there.
Oh, you'll find
There's
a way.
some hate in that body.
There
anyway,
is.
so.
When there's a will, there's a way.
So Church does come back, but he's all kind of mangled and fucked up. He's not looking good, and that's kind of the problem when
And
you
he
come back.
stinks.
Yeah, he stinks like a dead person.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't brush your hair. You can't brush his goddamn hair. He's got all kind of knots in it.
Mhm.
I kept thinking they were brushing it and they were gonna just peel
the
off
skin
skin.
off.
Wouldn't that be good and scary?
That would have been awesome.
Wouldn't that have been cool the entire? Even when he's brushing her hair at some point, I'm
Ugh.
thinking, oh, we're gonna get some scalp.
Yeah.
But no, she's got. I guess when you're
Staples all the way down her head.
I guess when you're dead, you just get crazy bad tangles.
I guess.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you get no conditioning. I guess I don't know. But Church comes back and he's an asshole. He cuts Ellie. Ellie doesn't like her anymore. Now, Lewis thinks something's up. He's got to kill. He goes back up to Judd, and in this version, he goes back up to Judd to try to get more answers, right? But in the book version, he kind of knows all this because Victor Pascal tells him,
Mm-hmm.
and then Judd tells him also. Judd leads him there.
Judd leads him there. Yeah.
Yeah. In the book, Judd takes the entire family down to the pet cemetery.
Yes.
And it kind of shows him around. You remember that?
Yeah. And then Rachel got mad about it because it
Yeah.
was a cemetery and freaked out in the book.
And in this one, they have no idea. Like, they didn't walk the property at all. when you buy, I'm buying a house, I'm seeing every part of that property, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You would assume.
And the Pet Semetary isn't even that far, right? There's
No, it's
kids
not.
coming in around. I mean, it can't be.
They were doing the procession
Yeah.
for the whatever.
And they
the
heard the
other
drums
animal.
from the house, so it's not
very far.
So the fact that he didn't even walk into these woods or anything, that's just
hard to believe.
That's and they must have bought this house for nothing. Because as soon as you get into this house, we didn't talk about it, but there's some kind of where I think it is, and it kind of tells in the book where the house is so close to the Pet Semetary and the barrier between life and death and the other realm world or whatever, is because that. And then so it started leaking into her house, and that's why he can see ghosts. Because it doesn't really explain in this why he can see ghosts.
That's a good point.
It doesn't explain at all why can he all of a sudden see Victor all the time and whatnot. But so Church comes back. He's got to kill Church again.
But he can't.
Which he does try, and Church puts up a little fight.
He does put up a fight.
And then Church gets all cute.
I know. Don't kill me.
I know.
Big cat eyes.
And it makes it tough, and so he doesn't end up killing Church.
No, he backs out.
Yeah, he
backs down like a little bitch.
Not like you. You could have just. It would have been one.
Sorry,
and done.
it's one quick swipe of that knife and adios. You're
so
gone.
he does the kind of wimpy method of he goes out in the woods and just drops Church off.
He does, yeah. Very far away too.
Very far away, which I immediately assume, okay, Church is gonna be trucking back. He's got nothing else.
I knew that too. Yeah,
of course. And what do we get? Not too many scenes next. Church is trucking down the road. He's taking
Ellie's
the highway.
Birthday party, and they're celebrating for Ellie, who's turning 10, 11.
And at this point, it's 2/3 of the movie in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Maybe even more.
Yeah.
There might be half an hour.
There
might be half an hour left at this point, which was, again, the pacing was very weird, where they rushed through all that to get to this point. But they rushed through it where we never got any kind of feeling for anything else. They never established anything else because it was being rushed through so far.
It was very anticlimactic too.
So it's her birthday. Gage runs out because everyone, I'm guessing originally was supposed to think Gage was going to get killed because Gage gets killed in everything.
And it would have been great too because it was literally how I pictured it in the book. Gage running and the dad being like, "No!" Yeah,
exactly.
And I was like, as we talked about already, so we won't jump into it again, but I really wish they would have not told us that they killed the girl instead of the boy.
Yeah,
that would have been a great moment where we all would have been like, whoa.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it would have been a stunt, but that they led off with that. Yeah. I mean, so...
the markering was not wise.
The truck narrowly misses Gage. But the bed of the truck tips over. And another thing I don't like is her... Don't you think her body...
Exactly. No, I could not wait to get to this point because this is the main issue that I had with the movie. If a little child's body gets hit by a tanker, that thing, and I'm not trying to be gross or anything, but that body will be mangled.
Yes.
To fucking shreds. Her face, she might not even have a skull.
There wasn't even blood.
There wasn't even blood.
No, there wasn't blood.
She was just laying perfectly in the grass.
Perfectly. Like, I don't know, was it a clean snap of the neck? What happened? I mean, I'm guessing it would have been blunt force trauma, which usually leads to a lot of blood.
And that ladder was leading first.
Yeah, and it didn't.
In the back of the tanker.
And it wasn't. Yeah, that's just...
No, it made no sense at all. And I was so frustrated. That took me so far out of the movie that I was like...
Yeah,
what?
Exactly. It was one of those things where some things you can get away with. Kind of being lazy about it. But that's one thing where, I mean, it's a horror movie, too.
Exactly. Yeah, show it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, with Hereditary.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
I know. But Hereditary didn't shy away from it. But that's why it was such a good horror film. This one, it felt so...
Because it felt unrealistic.
I hate to use this word again, yeah, but it felt very campy. Like, very just...
it didn't feel real.
Tropey.
That takes you out of the movie.
Stupid. Like, just... completely out of the movie. I hated it.
Yeah, I agree. It's... But yeah, so her body's perfectly fine. They have a wedding, right? Judd is sad.
Wedding? A funeral?
A funeral. Yeah, they have a funeral.
Definitely not a wedding.
Not a wedding.
They're like, let's celebrate our death of our daughter.
But but in this scene, there was a Easter egg of a Stephen King Easter egg, and I caught it right when I heard it.
I didn't see him. Where was he?
No, Stephen King wasn't in it. Oh. There was an Easter egg to another one of his movies because all of his movies are connected.
Yes, of course.
In Maine. At the party, they were talking about just in the background you can hear them talking about a rabid dog,
which is Cujo,
that got loose, and they say it's a Saint Bernard and got rabies. So that was what they were talking about. Yeah, and there's a couple other Easter eggs in this movie too. One is when she's on her way back from Boston, Rachel. The highway sign says Derry, 20 minutes, 20 miles.
Right.
Yeah, and obviously Derry is
Pennywise.
Yeah, a bad town to be in. Maine's a bad state.
Yeah, apparently.
If you're in this universe,
Stephen King's not a.
This forest, the forest itself takes place in other Stephen King's movies. This forest that's part of the underworld or whatever that the I can't remember what they're called. I can't remember what the tribe is called in the book. But yeah, there's this forest is in a couple different. Let me see.
Yeah, just move the mouse. I'll move the mouse over to your side so
that's good.
That way the screen can literally just stay on.
But yeah, so this forest is in other Stephen King movies also, and there's kind of nods to that. But yeah, so Ellie dies, and what is Lewis got to do? Even though Judd knows he's gonna do it. Of course, it's on Judd.
It is on Judd, and then Lewis just poisons Judd, or not poisons him. I shouldn't say.
Which again, that
knocks him out.
The
with
whole
drugs.
Judd thing, that's the whole premise of the movie is him getting Lewis up there.
Honestly, in a lot of ways, I feel like he's almost the center point of the book.
Yeah. In the book, that's the only reason. But it's a good reason. He saved his life. He saved his wife's life.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I mean, someone as important as a wife is his child. So now it's only right. He feels like he owes him. In this, he owes him absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
He just voluntarily takes him up there to save the stupid cat.
And here's the thing, too, Cash. We could have got that sequence done in 2 scenes. Hey, new neighbors, why don't you come over, have a meal with me and my wife? They're all there having a good time. The wife has a heart attack. Lewis saves her. Boom. Yeah. Now we've already got the premise. 2 scenes. That's all it took, man.
It could have even been.
So don't tell me you don't have enough time when you waste all this fucking time in the movie doing stupid shit.
Oh yeah,
we
I
had
agree.
Enough time.
I agree, absolutely. It could have even been. It would have been kind of outlandish, but it could have even been the first meeting that they have with their neighbors. Is that she has a heart attack? Because in the book,
they would understand why they were so close.
And then you can get rid of her because even in the book, she dies 2 months later. Anyways, she dies of other complications. Anyways, so you could have got rid of her if you really were passionate about not having her in
the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. In this version, it's very odd because he has a wife, and we get that we don't know at all why she died, and we even get she comes out as Ellie at one point, and we know that there's something happened, but we don't really get why. Why is her death is kind of mysterious in some way, but we never understand that in this version of the book at all. We don't know why, and that's how she died, why she died. We don't know anything about it.
And that was another thing, too. They didn't make the spirit that's inside the dead people evil enough. Because if you remember, every time it's about to kill someone or tries to kill someone, it tells them basically their deepest, darkest fears.
Yeah.
So like with Judd, for your instance, bringing up his wife in the book, it was like, you cheated on me, this and that. I always hated you. I can't wait for you to burn in hell. I mean, shit like that.
In this,
as the son's killing Judd.
In this version, she literally just said, I did like when she becomes Judd's wife. I like that when her face become Ellie's face or whatever. I thought that was a really good use of, kind of showing her in the movie, for at least for that instance. Yeah. But I really liked that. It was creepy too. But she's like, you're going to pay for what you did to me and everything. But we never know.
Nothing.
We had to just kind of insinuate that he was a dick, I guess.
And that was the problem too, is I think they just assumed that people who read the book were going to see this movie. It's like, if you didn't read the book, you'd have no idea what the hell that context meant.
And then if you're catering to just the people that read the book, that's a very small audience to cater to also.
Totally.
Because to make a movie, you're making it for everyone, right? I mean, you want everyone to see it because you got to make money. But yeah, so that's to just assume that I guess he was a bad guy towards her and everything. Because they showed him as a good guy every time, so I don't.
Oh, you're fine. I just moved it, so we're good.
But yeah, so I don't. Like, it was all sped up and sped through. But he takes her up there, buries her, immediately regrets it pretty much.
Oh, right away.
Because she comes back, and it's almost instantaneous. Remember the part where he's laying in bed, and it's like, oh my God, I made a huge mistake. Yeah. He just has a look of regret on his face because she's not right. She's looking a little droopy, to be honest.
Yeah, she's definitely dead.
When you come back with about half your face working, I guess. I don't know, but she did not look good. She had veins in her head also to where she obviously looked dead.
Yeah.
You're not going to enroll her into school. I don't know what his thought was after this.
I'm not quite sure.
He had no. The whole thing was he was sad. He needed more. Yeah, well, you're going to have. She's a fucking Frankenstein of a monster right now. She'll kill everyone. But, yeah, so she becomes a real monster. And he doesn't like this. Well, yeah, we didn't talk about how he had to. Why did he have to knock out Judd? Why couldn't he just left and went to the Pet Semetary on his own?
I don't know. The book made perfect sense with that.
Yeah,
because Judd was expecting it. But
yes, exactly. But
he wasn't really expecting it in the movie.
No, I don't.
He just knocked him out.
Just because. I don't understand. Yeah. But he does. He knocks him out. He knocks him out for the full fucking night. That's when he went and did it. And Ellie.
I wish they would have done the cemetery scene the way it was in the book too, when he's hopping the fence and he's hiding from the cars and stuff. Oh, like that.
Yeah. So it's very easy in this one.
Yeah, too easy. It's like there was no barriers for him to go through. He
not even that, but like, what was his idea? I mean, they're gonna see the grave has been dug up. They're gonna go to your house. They're gonna say, "Hey, your daughter is." Someone took her body. That's going to be much harder on the wife and everything. And then he's going to have to pretend like he's shocked. He just wasn't thinking about it.
No, he wasn't.
So he does, yeah. And she's back. She's an evil, kind of a bitch now.
And in the book too, when he dug up the body, it was because the dirt was still laid, but grass wasn't over it.
Yeah.
So he could get away with doing that and putting the dirt back in the soil. Unlike this movie.
But the dirt would still be lower than the... Because you'd have less dirt.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I mean, you could at least filled the dirt back into the hole in the book. But this was like the grass was over it already and everything. Like she'd been buried there forever.
Oh, yeah. And he digs her up and I don't think he even tries to rebury it. I think he just heads out.
Yeah, he's just like,
grabs
all right,
her body.
Got what I need.
But so he wraps her up, takes her up there, and she's acting evil. She goes over to Judd's house.
Because Judd said that he shouldn't have done that, which pisses her off.
Yes, because Judd comes over to the house because he thinks something's up because he wakes up and obviously he thinks he got really drunk or hammered or something.
And Lewis won't let him in the door.
Yeah, and Lewis says something weird that gives it away immediately, but I can't remember what it was. He tells him something where he immediately knows that. He says because Rachel called him.
Sometimes dead is better. That's what he warned him.
Yeah, but Rachel called Judd, remember, and said that she's been trying to call Lewis all morning.
Yeah, and that's why.
And then Lewis says that he's been waiting for a call from her. So Judd immediately knows that he's bullshitting, and that's when he says sometimes dead is better. In this case, he's 100% right.
I would say, I'd say he's on the right track there.
He should have said that when they were hiking up there to rebury the goddamn
freaking cat. Give me a break.
It's rough, but I did like the scene when he's taking Ellie up there. You know, he's kind of dragging her up there, and we just get the Wendigo kind of in the background or whatever. And I really like stories like that with Native American stuff like that, and because it's fucking scary. Dude.
It is scary stuff.
You know what the Wendigo does? You know what his thing is? He corrupts you and makes you. Well, it's something about tribes where he corrupts you and then he makes you a cannibal. It makes you start wanting to eat people.
Interesting. Okay.
That's the whole because that's a really big thing in Native American tribes is eating someone else's flesh is a big no.
Oh well, yeah,
because it's like part. I think part of it is consuming their soul and everything with their body. I mean, it's a big no here.
Yeah,
but it's more
understandable.
It's more of a gross out factor here than it is.
Troglodytes don't seem to mind. In Bone Talk, huh?
Oh
no,
Bone
Hawk.
But they're not eating
Tomahawk.
They're not eating other Native Americans though.
They're not. No, they're just eating old cowboy.
White man don't have no soul. Yeah,
those old cowboys.
The white devil. They don't have. You can eat them. You can eat them like fucking chicken fingers, and you're gonna be all right. But yeah, so she goes. Yeah, she finds out the Judd's kind of against her, and she holds no love towards Judd anymore.
She heads on over to that house.
Yeah.
Judd goes to the basement. Never go to the basement. What are you doing?
No.
Why?
He goes, yeah. Well, at first he thinks she's under the bed, remember?
Which that was a good scene. That
Kicks
was a good
open
moment.
the bed, yeah. Because that was a scene where I thought she was going to, because we saw that in the trailer, again, it gave away that she gave away every turning point, every part where you would have been surprised or shocked that would have made this movie just slightly better. They gave away in the 18 trailers they released the month before. Yeah.
Totally agree.
So I thought this scene was going to be when she stabs him. But then she didn't, so then I know it was coming right after. So there was no shock value at all. The stabbing was cool because it was practical. It did look good. That's Achilles. I mean,
that's the worst. In horror films, that's the worst for me. I can deal with decapitations. I can deal with everything.
I agree.
But dude, the Achilles heel, if you tear that, that's, you know how painful that is? That
you
goes
know what
all up your leg.
You know what movie has the worst version of someone getting their Achilles heel cut?
It's the movie where they pop out of the bottom and then do this. But what movie is that?
That's not the movie I'm thinking of.
Oh.
I do know what you're talking about. Did you ever see Hostel?
Yeah, that's the one.
Is that what you're talking about? No.
I'm pretty sure the Hostel Achilles heel death.
Well, that is, but in Hostel, it's the doctor, and he's torturing him, and the guy's begging for him not to be tortured, and the guy says, okay, you can leave, but first he cuts his Achilles, and he makes the guy walk, and it shows him walk, and as soon as he takes his steps, he just collapses under, and the bones are... And then when he walks, it shows him when he walks, he further separates the foot from the...
I remember that. Yep. See, I don't do well with that, man. That's the one area
That's the worst. That's the worst I've seen in a movie. And I agree, it does not. It's not a good image. But
it's horrific.
He gets both Achilles cut in that one, and then he tries to walk. And the thing with getting your Achilles cut when you walk, you're tearing the foot more.
Those Hostel movies were crazy.
Oh, they're torture porn for sure. Yeah.
Remember, the United States went through that little phase with Saw, with
torture
Hostels.
porn. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It was kind of a fad for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, definitely. Oh yeah, body
mutilation,
body horror stuff. Yeah. For sure, definitely. But there's an interesting. I don't know if it's a study, but I've read interesting stuff about that. All that stuff happened when those videos of GIs torturing like people in Iraq and stuff. That's when all those, and a lot of people say that's what spawned the body torture stuff.
Really?
It's those videos, because it was the first kind of it's the first time Americans saw what other Americans were doing overseas. That was the first time when all that stuff was released about them torturing terrorists and stuff. And the videos, did you ever see those videos?
I've seen some, the one with the dogs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the ones where they're making them like drink their pee and stuff like that. Apparently that was the first, and you could apparently go on and see other ones where people are actually being tortured. But apparently that's what spawned that
much worse ones than that.
Oh yeah,
from
absolutely.
Countries, especially.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's some pretty.
There's ones that I haven't looked past the ones that they showed, because they used to show that one on the news of the guy dragging the prisoner with the collar, with the leash, acting them like a dog. They used to show that one on the news, but apparently that's what spawned all of that. But
they'll take sometimes they'll take these people and they'll drag their dead bodies behind a car for hours.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty gruesome.
Well, fuck, I wouldn't mind that. I mean, if I'm already dead, I don't want to be tortured while I'm alive.
Yeah, no, definitely. but I mean, getting dragged until you die, that's miserable.
Oh yeah, that's a bad way to go. Yeah. So she cuts up Judd, though, and Judd's done. She stabs the shit out of Judd, actually. Multiple times. Judd's standing, Lewis finds Judd, and he's already dead, right? That whole time, Ellie kind of brings out Judd's wife, and that was the whole part. And by this time, Rachel, of course, is just pulling into the house. And, of course, that's the worst timing.
Worst possible time. Worst possible.
You can't ask, and of course, stereotypical mom doesn't know when. I mean, I thought the movie would. Of course, it ends up being a huge part of this plot, but I thought she should just stayed away, the mom, this entire time. Just had it between the dad and Ellie, having him kind of the big thing about him having to kill her and him. I thought maybe they should have just done that, and it would have been way more emotional. I thought, but then they brought all the family in, and this one ends a little different than the movie.
It does. It does end differently, and I got to be honest, I did not hate the very ending.
I just thought it was I just don't know where they're going from there.
There's nowhere you can go. There's no way you can go. I mean, like,
why were they even trying to make so let's just talk about it. They or Lewis is going to take Ellie, or Ellie's knocks out Lewis, and she's dragging him up there because she wants a different family, a more evil family, I guess. So she's gonna rebury him, but she didn't even like the mom, right? We didn't talk. She stabs the mom a bunch, and the mom
by Ellie.
The mom takes a good stabbing, yeah, quite a bit. And so she's gonna rebury Lewis and make him a new zombie dad. But Lewis wakes up, he fights her. He's right about to kill Ellie, right? I thought he was gonna do it, but he gets stabbed in the chest. Because Ellie earlier brought the mom.
Yeah.
She must have done that quick.
She must have done that very quick.
I mean,
she dragged that body out of the house.
From the amount of time that
It took Lewis to go over to Judd's house and back.
But for the amount of time that Lewis and Judd originally hike up there, remember? It's like a 15-minute, and we assume that's a long distance because Lewis is talking about, where we going, Judd? And they're on the trail and everything. So she must have sprinted up there with the mom.
Ass.
And we see that she's not strong or anything. She's not...
She is dragging the mom by the foot, though.
Yeah, but she's dragging as what I would assume...
A 10-year-old would.
A 10-year-old would be able to do. Because she's dragging Lewis at one point, too. And, I mean, she's not, like, sprinting with him up there or anything. So it must have taken some time. But, yeah, the mom's dead. Or the mom's not dead. She's revamped. Alive. She stabs Lewis in the chest. And they take him up there. And before that, Lewis locked Gage in the car. Yeah. Wasn't saving him much, so. No. How about you call the cops? At one point, you just...
That little boy didn't know any better. He saw his whole family back, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna open the door."
Well, yeah. I know. I think Lewis should have called the cops at one point. When Lewis saw that Judd was dead, he should have called the police.
Yeah, probably.
At one point, you just gotta,
But what do you tell him? Hey, look, my dead daughter's killing people.
Well, I mean, all you have to say is, hey, there's a dead body right here, and you're going to get cops out there no matter what. And then you got to say, hey, my daughter has been gone for a while. You don't tell them that she's been dead.
Right.
Just say my daughter's wandering around because she was in the house the whole time still. Or I guess she was on her way up and then coming back down. But you got to swallow your pride and just admit when you've been wrong. That was Lewis's problem.
Yep.
He just couldn't accept that he fucked up a massive... It's typical, man. They just can't accept when they're wrong. But, yeah. He should have just accepted it.
Should have.
He should have took her down quick. A lot faster than he did. And he should have done it in a better way. He was going to decapitate her.
He was about to.
Yeah, he was going to do it old school. But, yeah, and that was the end of it. What closing thoughts, Mason?
Disappointed. Disappointed, man. Honestly, very disappointed.
We were hyping this movie up.
I was so excited for it. I thought a 2019 adaptation, one of my favorite books of all time. This is going to be great. You know, the first thing that alarmed me to this movie was when I saw it was only an hour and 40 minutes. I'm like, hold on, what? How are you going to condense this whole book in an hour and 40 minutes?
It seems like almost they told the directors, all right, you have an hour 40 minutes, and that's it. And they just fucking rushed.
Because I think it was right on the dot, an hour 40. Yeah, it was. 101. So it's unfortunate because I think you added half an hour to this movie, develop the Judd and why do I keep forgetting his freaking name? Lewis.
Yeah.
You know, you build up that chemistry, you get a good understanding of what happened, the history. I feel like the whole thing was rushed. That's one thing that's different about it, and that's why it's so good and so popular, is they flush out the history. They let you know the history behind Derry, Maine, and they let you know the history behind Pennywise. In this movie, they didn't give you the history of anything. They gave you no context.
Yeah.
It just was another slasher horror film to me, and it pissed me off.
Well, like you said, yeah, and that's what it was, where, like, the book is not a slasher.
No, not at all.
So,
at all. It's a slow burn.
Yeah, exactly. And this movie felt like it was somewhere in between, where they weren't sure they wanted to make a slasher or that slow burn kind of. But yeah, the biggest thing is being rushed in this. It just, the entire thing, like you said, you could have that extra half an hour to expand on some parts that were needed to be expanded on, for sure, to make a decent movie. But yeah, I just felt it was, yeah, they especially going and seeing, because the older version wasn't well, but this literally just seemed like it wasn't an adaptation of the book. It seemed like it was a direct adaptation of that older movie. Where that older movie did not do good, so I don't know why you would think that that's the route to take. Even though Steven Spielberg did write that script for that one, it did not. It was not well received. So why do a direct remake? And it was an almost direct remake. Or even in that older one, they expanded though a little more with the Judd and Lewis are buddies. I mean, in this one, there's none of that at all.
Nothing at all.
Lewis almost doesn't like him immediately.
I would say almost throughout the whole movie, he doesn't really like him.
Right from the get-go, though,
Yeah.
I would say that there's some resentment there or something.
And Lewis really, Lewis is a good guy in the book, but in this movie, I didn't really consider him like a good guy. I was just he's always grumpy, he's always kind of...
We didn't ever get enough
to
know, if he was a good guy or not. They never gave us enough.
No.
But, disappointed, to say the least.
Yeah, I am too, man. I'm glad Shazam was good, because I did a doubleheader. So I started with Pet Semetary.
That's good.
And then I went to Shazam. On a good note. But dude, but after Pet Semetary, I'm like, man, I was disappointed about this. I pray to God Shazam's not disappointing.
Oh yeah.
So it was good to not have that.
But yeah, we've had so much good Stephen King stuff lately.
I know. It's
with
very
the
shocking.
movies, the TV shows, and everything.
And one of his best books, in my opinion. And then we didn't get what we wanted.
Yeah, and one of the biggest gripes is it just wasn't scary. Pet Semetary, even in Stephen King's opinion, he says he had the most trouble writing it. He said it was the most...
I read his prologue for it.
Yeah, he said he wasn't sure if he should publish this one.
Morally.
Which for Stephen King, morally.
Yeah.
And then to have a movie that's not even scary at all.
Just totally lackluster.
It did. And I don't think it's unadaptable. I do think if you can adapt 1,800 pages of it into a well-worked movie, it wasn't the perfect movie, but it was a good movie, then you could adapt this one too.
I totally agree.
Well, what do you give it?
Maybe me and you should write an adaptation, an old 120-page.
We should. I mean, why not?
Screenplay.
Yeah, why wouldn't we?
See if we can get it made.
Couldn't be worse.
10 years from now.
Yeah.
Dang it.
I know. I was hyped for this one for a couple years actually. I was real disappointed.
Very disappointed.
Yeah, like I said, I think someone should make a TV show out of it, even like a 3-part episode.
Yeah, 3-part,
hour long each, 3-part. I mean, the book is it's not massive, but
no, it's
like
not.
Like we said, it goes through each season. Each season has about the same length. It goes fall, summer, and it goes through each one. And the process of becoming a zombie and becoming evil is laid out in the book a lot more, where it's immediate in this. As soon as you're coming back, you're trying to kill people.
Yeah, and that wasn't the case in the book at all either.
No, it's like a 30-pound. It's like they start to realize that
not
Gage is, because it's not her. Yeah, they just aren't the same. What do you give it, Mace?
Okay, I almost don't even want to grade it, because I hate this. I hate this. For me, man, I gotta be honest. Just I hate to be that guy, the book guy, but I am the book guy because, again, both of us are the book guys when it comes to this. It's one of the best books ever. One of the best books ever by Stephen King.
It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be huge. I think it missed the mark on almost every single aspect. I thought a few of the shots were cool, and that I do have to give it credit for. I really like the dream sequence when then he's going into the forest. I liked the way the Pet Semetary looked. I liked all those little different things, and I liked some of the nods they gave to the book. I did appreciate that, like Oz the Great and Terrible, that kind of stuff. But overall, I was so disappointed in this movie. It missed the mark for me. They made it something totally different than what it was. They made it into the slasher film, which I just did not agree with whatsoever. For me, I just gave it a D. Just a D.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
It's not a failing grade.
Same. I don't want to give it an F because
it's not.
It's a long range for an F. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just to take one of Stephen King's, probably one of his most important books. So say if you were introducing someone to Stephen King, you probably give them Pet Semetary, The Shining, and probably it maybe, or Carrie, or Carrie, or Cujo, or something like that.
I haven't read Cujo because I just cannot get I'm like, what is so interesting about a rabid dog? It just doesn't sound like an interesting
he
story.
fucks up people up. That's what's crazy about him. You got to know it's a Saint Bernard rabid dog, so he's as big as us.
Good point.
But it's very scary. It's one of the first horror movies I ever saw on VHS. Yeah, the movie
is the
version
book good though, honestly? Because that's the one. That's the one.
If you're gonna watch, have you not read Carrie?
No, I haven't read Carrie. I've seen the movie Carrie.
Cujo's good, but Carrie is Stephen King's first
novel ever.
Well, it's the one that made him famous. And the movie, the 1978 Brian De Palma movie, is one of the best adaptions also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's got a young John Travolta in it.
Wow.
Yes.
Must be a very young John.
Very young. I think it's one of his first movies, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, so if you're gonna take on a movie like Pet Semetary, you can't just make it one of these generic, like, it's one of these movies that we've, I don't know, seen a million times, like I don't know, just the many horror films that we've been getting. It's just, you can just throw it in there. It's not memorable. So, but for such a large movie as Pet Semetary, you got to do it justice, and this movie did not do it justice.
No, it did not.
We brought it up the different parts many times, but it did not. Yeah, and I'll give it a D-, just lower than
just lower than mine. Okay.
Yeah, it should have been on. It should have went straight to Netflix or something.
It should have.
Yeah,
it was not memorable.
No,
let's put it that way.
Not at all.
Well, that's our review for Pet Semetary. You can find us on YouTube. Type in Have You Seen It? Have You Seen It podcast. Go to channel. We're the second one down, the Angry Popcorn, and the Director's Chair. We're on Twitter, Seen It Podcast. Cash is on Twitter. That's just Cash. Instagram, Have You Seen It? You can find us anywhere, audio format for podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us. And that should do it. Stay tuned. Well, never mind. I won't even announce that.
That's what I was gonna plug.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Look for our Game of Thrones episodes. Right, we're gonna this Sunday, or we're gonna record it this Sunday. It'll probably come out Monday. Right.
Monday. Yep.
But right after, we're gonna watch it live. Then give you our hot take on it. And if you haven't, go back and rewatch our recap.
Yeah, our recap
that we will be releasing soon.
Oh, it already released.
And it's already
released on Tuesday.
So go back and watch that before you watch the new one, obviously.
And then Movie News was released today, which is Thursday. But this actually will release after the Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
This review.
Oh, shit.
Because this is the last one for the week. That's why I was like, I'm not going to plug it.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
Because we'll actually release this, because we're going to release Game of Thrones.
Well, if you're listening to this, go back and watch the first Game of Thrones episode that we did, because I heard it was a hit.
It was real good. It got,
well received,
great numbers,
good reviews.
Good. Yeah. Thank you to those Game of Thrones fans. So, till next time.